A very, very robust one because it's coming from one of our sponsors, Oracle. We will do this, and after we do this, we take 1, 2, 1, 2, and we are out of this place. I will tell you, today is not going to be like yesterday. Today we are actually going to round up this whole session in time. So please, if your hands are not too busy, you're not feeling too lazy, to take us in this next keynote address that says competitive advantage of cloud computing. Competitive advantage of cloud computing is the cloud specialist engineer in Oracle, and it is no other but Mr. Ifesoji Akinwumi. Please help me make welcome Mr. Ifesoji Akinwolemiwa as he comes up to give us this wonderful keynote address on the competitive advantage of cloud computing. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
So point of correction.
Engineer, please. Engineer, please.
Ifesoji Akinwolemiwa. I work at Oracle as a cloud engineer. And I'll be taking us through generally just about the cloud, talk about the comparative advantages. I'll talk about some cloud success stories we have, and I'll give you an overview of Oracle Cloud. And feel free to ask questions, and feel free to put up your hands in case you forget your question, so we can just take it as it goes. So OCI, which I might mention a couple of times, means Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So just to take note of that. So these are some of the brands that we work with in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure that have some of their workloads. Zoom is an example, which was a customer. I mean, as we know, they provide video conferencing services, and they were, quite popular, especially during the COVID period where customers had to work remotely. They had a lot of workload needed, and they needed to scale in terms of infrastructure needs. And as we know, sometimes it will be a manual process to have to buy a lot of servers to manage the scale of customers that they were getting during that period. So that's why things like the cloud is essential. We also have other customers, including OEMs such as Cisco, Deutsche Bank, Vodafone. So we work across telecom sector, financial sector, oil and gas, and generally across the ecosystem. So we've built our businesses for cloud. This is an example of how many data centers. So regions refers to data centers. So we have 40 plus regions across the world, which refers to data centers, like I said. We have across North America, Europe, Middle East, and we also have in Africa as well. So we have one in South Africa, and we're looking at building one in Nigeria, hopefully very soon, as customers keep moving their workloads to the cloud. But in terms of naturally now, a lot of our customers and a lot of customers who use Oracle Cloud in Nigeria, just for latency purposes, South Africa is their choice of data center. So we also have interconnect data centers, which includes partnership with OEMs such as Microsoft. So an example is if a customer, for example, wants to use Microsoft Windows operating system, that's what they're predominantly good with. We can give you that option with Oracle Cloud. Or if you want to use Oracle database on Microsoft's Azure's infrastructure as well. So we use that interconnect where you can connect to that data center. Also, if you are, for example, a governmental agency and you want to have a dedicated workload to that data center to avoid theft or any risk of data loss or data breaches, we have government dedicated data centers as well. So we serve purposes across both private and public sector. So this is an overview, 360 view of Oracle Cloud Services. From the top layer, you can see that we have Oracle applications, custom apps, and ISV apps. So Oracle apps, as the name implies, are native applications built by Oracle. So we have things like, the previous speaker mentioned ERP. So Oracle has an ERP flavor. We also have customer experience. We have job recruitment. So we have different applications that you can connect to the cloud. We also have custom and ISV applications, which are third-party applications built independently of Oracle. So they can be bespoke applications built by anyone here that you want to be able to scale. Maybe, for example, you built a system using your laptop and you just want to be able to scale and reach users across the world. We can give you an infrastructure to support that scale, and we accept it across board. And in the middle layer, we have, I'll just touch some of these services. So we have our developer services. So our developer services refers to native ways of building applications without going through the traditional methods of setting up. So if you're looking for making use of the fastest time to market, which means you want to be able to build a product and you have an idea of that product. So instead of having to go through getting a server, installing an operating system on it, installing security settings on it, and all of that manual processes, we can give you something where you can essentially have a faster time to market in building your applications. So next, we have containers and functions. Containers and functions are other methods of deploying. So traditionally, in the cloud, you can deploy on infrastructure. But you also have container services where you can deploy on containers as a different options. And why containers are important and more popular nowadays is that containers allow you to create replicas of your previous deployment. So an example is we have a payment service company that we're working with currently who are looking at having a test and dev look like their pre-production and look like their production. But instead of having to deploy them separately, they can deploy them on containers. And once they are making any changes on that container in the test and dev, they're able to replicate that to the production very simpler and very quicker. So that's the advantage of a container as opposed to deploying traditionally. So next thing is the application integration, which allows you to integrate to third-party services independent of Oracle as well. So for example, if you're in the cloud and you want to integrate to something on-premise, it gives you the option of integrating both to Oracle services and non-Oracle services. Analytics and BI refers to a robust platform that allows you, if you have data, you want to get information from that data. An example is maybe you're a service-oriented company and you've collected data sheets or Excel sheets of customers' names, phone numbers, addresses, and all of that. And you want to be able to get an idea of where most of your customers are from a data perspective, and you want to get information from that data. So we can use an analytics platform to get better information from your raw data. And we allow from more than 300 data sources, which means, like I said, it doesn't have to be an Oracle data. So it could be Microsoft Excel sheets, it could be ERP data, it could be IBM DB2, SQL Server, whatever the data source, we allow you to bring it into a staging area in Oracle, and then you can get information from it. Next thing, we have machine learning and AI, which is generally, I think a lot of people have mentioned it today. A lot of our services are built on this, and I'll give you an example of the application of machine learning and AI on cloud services. So if you, for example, have an application that you deployed on Oracle Cloud, and you expected that that application can house 50,000 people, and maybe it's December, and you have a marketing campaign where that 50,000 grows to 100,000 within a short period. Instead of having to traditionally go through the infrastructure and adjusting the sizing that you put, there's something called auto-scaling, where essentially the system gets smart enough that if it sees that there's a need for more compute power, it scales up to 3 times the normal capacity. So it's a system where it looks at your RAM usage, it looks at your compute usage, and is able to do that scaling up on its own. So it's a smart system that gets better with time. So that's an example of an application of AI and smart systems. Also, we have our data lakehouse. I'll just run through. We also have our compute. So our compute is the traditional servers that we have on premise, where we're giving you a virtual machine in the cloud for you to deploy your application on. Operating systems of choice are available, so you can have Oracle's flavor of Linux, which is for free with our OCI environment. We also have Windows operating system that you can bring to Oracle Cloud and license. We have Ubuntu, and we have other third-party operating systems. So we allow non-traditional systems as well. So networking refers to how you can customize your connectivity to Oracle data center and your own data center. So an example is if you want to, for example, make an application that is only accessible within your environment. So maybe it's within your, for example, you're working in a bank, within the bank, and you want only VPN connectivity allowed. It's the networking layer, you customize that. If you want to allow RDP access into your Windows servers, if you want to allow POTI connection to your Oracle Linux environment, so you can have those customizations done on the networking layer. So also we have Oracle Database, which is our flagship product. Oracle Database powers, I think, most of the core banking in Nigeria and really across the world. So we have Oracle Database 19c available in the cloud, which you can use on demand. Also, we have open source databases. So if you want to use databases that are unstructured, or if you want more cheaper options than Oracle, You can have MySQL as an option, and we also have other in our marketplace. And finally, like I mentioned, we have operating systems across board, and we also have native VMware if your deployment requires just VMware. And across all the layers, security is embedded in every of this system. You don't pay separately for security and observability. Compliance-wise, depending on the data center you choose, so for example, if it's a South African data center or it's the Middle Eastern one, we would give you the compliance certifications for each of those data centers. So like the PCI DSS certifications, SOC, and all of the other certifications, we're ready to give it to you on demand. Also, messaging and governance goes across board. And finally, on the last layer, you have the option of public cloud, which is the general cloud that you just connect to any data center of choice and go live. We also have the option of a hybrid cloud. So a hybrid cloud is where you can have the cloud essentially in your data center. So Oracle gives you the option of, so I'll give you an example. So because we don't have a data center in Nigeria at the moment, and we also have some governmental agencies and, for example, financial services that are protected by some laws that are telling them they can't carry data out of the country. We have deployment models such as Cloud at Customer, where you can bring Oracle Cloud to your data center. So we can bring Oracle Cloud to Nigeria. We currently have about 5 customers that are using this, including some government parastatals, just to avoid the problem of having their data center hosted out of country. So we've basically brought the cloud to them. But of course, it depends on the size of the workload before we essentially suggest that option. Roving Edge refers to remote areas, and like we mentioned, we have multi-cloud strategies with Azure and AWS. So I'm going to stop there just so I understand that I'm at least speaking to it. Is there any questions or any clarifications or any inputs from everyone else?
Any questions? Please. We need to take questions, very important. Okay, Dr. Agu. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I was about to ask a 2 questions, but your last statement mentioned that your data center is not within Nigeria, which is a bit disappointing. However, considering the fact that Internet of Things is one of the pillars of the 4th industrial revolution, and for data center to exist, you need to have data, and IoT is one of the data generators. So I was thinking, if you have special support for what they call the broker platforms, must have had cloud platforms like TeamSpeak, UbiDot, and so on and so on. Is there any special broker platform you have to support Internet of Things? Because right now, NIDA is championing capacity development in some of these emerging areas like AI, and we have a National Center for AI and robotics. And then Internet of Things is also one of the areas we're actually pushing because there's so much opportunity in Internet of Things. So do you have any special support for that, especially considering startups? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So in terms of the Cloud at Customer, like you mentioned, we don't have a data center in Nigeria at the moment. South Africa is our closest. But we recently got licensed, I think last year, May, to have the Cloud at Customer, which, like I mentioned, is a subset of Oracle Cloud. It's a big box, like a server, where we're bringing it to a data center of choice, or you can have it in Main 1 or whatever third-party data center in Nigeria and host. We have about, I think, 4 or 5 customers, including a data center hosting company as well, which we're trying to use to reach out to startups and reach out to other customers. Because, of course, like you mentioned, we had a lot of customers who used to tell us that if we could have our data center within the region, they'll be more than happy to move. But they were hampered by sort of that regulation. But some of these customers are beginning to move to them, and we're discussing with other cloud hosting providers as an option to move. So it's something that we're looking at doing both in the short term and in the long term.
Okay, do we still have? Okay, yes.
So one of the features you mentioned, your robust API or application integration system. Well, we also know that that's one source of threat when it comes to cloud computing. So what systems have you guys put in place to mitigate any threat coming from your API integrations?
So we have data is encrypted both at rest and in transit on the cloud. And what we try to do is, so for example, if you're using the public cloud, like I mentioned, we have compliance certifications that we can give you for each data center that proves our security settings across board. Also, we make sure customers have their own. Basically, if you have, for example, if the API is connecting to your environment and back and forth, respect your security and allow you to import your security independent of Oracle. So both, we have our own security, which we have been serving enterprises for years on years on years that we're guaranteeing. And at SLA point, we guarantee you that security, and we also make sure, at your point as well, we maximize and make sure your security services are available at your point as well. So basically, as SLA points, we guarantee you availability and security settings. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we can share them with you if you're willing to be like an Oracle customer.
Okay, we are still taking questions. Any other? Okay, yes.
All right, you didn't talk about serverless technology. I didn't talk about serverless.
Our serverless falls under compute. I just put it under overview. So for example, serverless, as the name implies, is if you want to connect to an instance in the cloud and you don't want to take care of having to go through the infrastructure aspect, so you just want to connect to something that hosts your application. So we have that flavor as well in the cloud. So it's under our functions where you can have a serverless instance in the cloud. So yes, we have that available.
Okay, we still have another question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. And I don't know if this question should come to you, but I believe that probably you can pass it to your management. So there was this meeting I had with Microsoft. The question I asked was that why is that there's no data center in Nigeria? So my question to you is, number one, is that we have the population, right? And a lot of IT infrastructure, whatever that is going in this country, right? And I believe Nigeria is a big marketplace for Oracle. So what is stopping what is stopping Oracle from building from building data center in the country? And the same question goes to Microsoft. Why are you guys not building data center in Nigeria? What is the problem? I think if you have just an answer to that, thank you.
So, everybody wants to make money at the end of the day. So, it starts from more of the companies that have adopted IT faster than others. So South Africa, as a country at the moment, has more willingness to adopt technology to drive their country. So that's why I think Oracle, Microsoft, AWS, we all have data centers in South Africa. But of course, the next region in terms of development is Nigeria. I think everyone is looking at building in Nigeria. And like you said, we have a large customer base in Nigeria. And I think also in terms of, for example, financial services and governmental institutions, they are very used to the traditional on-premises deployments where they want to be able to see the servers at a particular location and connect to that. Also for security reasons, a lot of the times it's just more popular to have your data center traditionally as opposed to the risk of using foreign services as well. But in the long term, Nigeria, on the short term, Nigeria is the next location for OEMs such as Oracle to build data centers, and I think we're looking forward to it.
A question to you, sir. Mr. Nida, Doctor, a question to you, probably, yes, or a recommendation. I know that for your own fit, you are doing well, and then there's a lot of recommendation, but I actually believe that I should drive more on this organization building data center in the country. I don't think it's wise that our data most time, they are not in the country, they are always in another country. Thank you, sir.
You can respond.
Thank you very much. If you look at the STRAP document, which I championed, that's the Strategic Roadmap and Action Plan, and also the NDEPS document, that's the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for Digital Nigeria. Local content is high there on the agenda. Indigenization of technology is high. All means bringing all these things onshore. And that is why NIDA issued out localization of data policy. So we talk to companies like Oracle, but there's what we call technology roadmap. So we normally give them some time for them to try to find a way to start building this also in Nigeria due to the market size. We have the biggest economy and the large market, and these are the questions we're asking them. Why is HP plants not in Nigeria? Why is it in South Africa? Why is it in Gambia? Why not here? So these are some of the things we've had meetings, even with Intel, to see how we can start, bringing some of these things. So we're aware of that. We're trying to also address it. As he mentioned, some countries are already ahead of Nigeria, and profit is, the philosophy is maximization of profit. So that's why they tend to go into these countries. And secondly, if you check before the minister, that's my immediate past boss at Niger, Professor Salih Ibrahim, he has done so much in sanitization of the ICT ecosystem, creating various policies and so on and so forth. So much so that today, the contribution of ICT is unprecedented, 18.4% to the GDP. So these are some of the gains we have made that to actually compel some of these people to start investing in Nigeria. Thank you very much. Noted.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Okay, any other questions? And I think that's for that.
All right,
Thank you so much. Our speaker from Oracle. Thank you. One more time, please put your hands together for. Wow. What a lovely day. Okay, we're still here, but we are almost done. Okay, please, I want to quickly ask if we have, if these personalities are here, please, can you help me just wave if you know. Do we have Mr.